All right then.
Mhm.
Hello. Last year, I had the privilege of sitting down to talk with many of the candidates running for governor. They were all thoughtful and respectful, and I felt that Utah was really lucky to have so many good options to lead our state. But my meeting with Governor Cox especially stood out. I left that conversation feeling incredibly energized and inspired. His goals and values aligned so closely with mine and with all of us here at UDOT. He talked about the importance of our employees' well-being and satisfaction. He talked about inclusion and dignity. And the phrase that made me especially excited was when he used some of the exact words that I have used. He said he wanted to do big, bold things. And I'm so grateful to have been invited to be part of Governor Cox and Lieutenant Governor Henderson's cabinet. They're bringing together a diverse group of talented leaders, and I'm honored to be included as one of their peers. But even more importantly, I'm overjoyed to have the opportunity to continue on this journey with all of you. I'm going to share something very personal with you. During the time when I was waiting to find out whether or not I'd be reappointed, I did some difficult soul searching. I had no idea what would happen, and I was trying to make peace with the possibility that my 34-year journey with UDOT may be coming to an end. It was really, really hard. I tried to distract myself with anything I could think of. I meditated, I wrote in a little journal, but finally I got to a place where I thought I'd be okay with whatever happened. And when I got called to come and talk with then Governor-elect and his new chief of staff, I knew that would be the day I'd find out one way or another. And I did everything I could to calm my nerves. I walked into the meeting prepared for the worst. And when the governor asked me to join his team, I was completely overcome with joy and gratitude. It's no secret that I love UDOT, but even I was surprised how intense my feelings were. I'm so happy to be here. And I'm so happy for my relationship with all of you. And I'm so happy because we have a lot of big, bold things to do. The biggest, boldest things we're going to do are for UDOT, inside our own organization. We're going to improve the quality of life for Utahns. But that starts right here with your quality of life and your well-being. With this new year and this new administration, it feels like the right time to lay out direction for 2021 and beyond. The vision I'm laying out today isn't really a deviation from where we've been headed. In fact, I believe we're simply making our path clearer. We don't need to make huge changes because we're already doing so many things right. I recently shared the results of our employee engagement survey with you, and you may have noticed that I mentioned that strengths will become part of our everyday conversations. We will be a strength-based organization. I'll explain that in a bit. A simple phrase to remember what a strength-based means is to grow the good. This means that our approach is to start with what's working and build from there, rather than focus our attention on weakness or problems that need to be fixed. We need to ask ourselves what strengths we can bring to any given situation. This does not mean that we ignore obstacles or pretend nothing needs to be improved. There's always room for improvement. We have confidence that we have the strengths to meet any challenge, and we ask, what strengths can we bring to this situation? What are we good at, and how can that be part of a solution? Strength-based discussion isn't new at UDOT. In fact, since 2013, every employee going through our new employee orientation has taken the Clifton Strengths Assessment. We know that people are happier and more likely to excel when they use their strengths. So we started doing this because we believed it would improve employees' work experience and well-being. I still believe that, which is why I am sharing an important goal with you today. Many of our employees have not taken the Clifton Strengths Assessment, but by the end of 2021, all UDOT employees will know their top 5 strengths. All 10 members of our employee development group are certified Clifton Strength coaches, and they have set a very ambitious goal of completing 200 strength discussions by the end of the year. I was in the Employee Advisory Council meeting last week, which, as a side note, was started based on results from a previous employee survey. What you say matters. In the meeting, I heard from one employee from one of our sheds, whose team had participated in a team strength session, and he was very excited to share how much it had already helped their team. I spoke to another employee here at the complex who had a similar experience with her strength session. She told me that it broadened her understanding of what she appropriately described as the bright spots of her strengths, and enjoyed learning about the strengths of her teammates. Since then, when she and her team are talking about what work they're doing, she thinks about what each of their individual strengths can be used for to help support each other in the accomplishment of their goals. This employee's explanation perfectly shows how this can work. First, we learn about our own strengths. Then we learn about our teammates' strengths. Then we start understanding how our strengths work together when they're combined. I use myself as an example because it's actually the one I know best. I'll start by sharing my top 5 strengths with you. My top strength is futuristic. Now, what that means is I love thinking about the future and what it holds and what we as a department need to do to be prepared for that. My second is responsibility. I feel a deep sense of responsibility for each of you. That's why I care so much about your safety, your engagement, and your well-being. I also feel responsible for the public and how we spend their money. My third strength is strategic. I really love this one. I have a lot of fun thinking through how to put the pieces together to reach a desired outcome. This is where I believe a DOT really excels. We get to figure out how to get things done. And that's probably a good lead into my next strength, activator. I really want to get things done, and I want to get them done fast. I struggle with dead space. When people ask questions, I find myself jumping in really quickly, not because I want to get in their way, but I want to get things done. I want to help other people get things done as well. And I'm willing to move forward very quickly. Now, my last is ideation. I'm always thinking about new and better ways to do things. I'm never happy with doing things the same old way. You know, when I first started here, the thing I hated hearing the most was, well, that's just the way we do things around here. I like asking whether we can do things better, faster, smarter. So now you've heard my strengths. The next step is to look at how they interact with the strengths of my team. I'll talk a little bit about our 2 deputies because they have, well, let's just call it the opportunity to spend a lot of time working with me. Rather than going through each of their top 5 strengths, I'm going to talk about one strength I have in common with each of them, because I think it's also interesting how the exact same strength can be used differently depending on the unique mix of strengths that a person has. Now, for example, Terry and I both have the strength of responsibility. In my case, because I also have activator, I'm looking for things to be done as quickly as possible. And I have to admit, I start getting anxious if it feels like they're taking too long. And like I mentioned, my sense of responsibility is largely directed towards people. For Terry, responsibility is about taking ownership of a task, depending on what that task or other strength like futuristic, learner, or maximizer. No matter what, though, if Terry says she's going to do something, by God, she's going to get it done. Let's talk about Lisa now. Even though responsibility is in her top 5, that doesn't mean she cares less than Terry and I about making sure tasks are completed. In fact, if you have met Lisa, you know that her catchphrase could easily be, "Let's get it done." Now that makes sense when you know that achiever is her top strength. Different strengths can be used for similar outcomes. Like me, Lisa has strategic in her top 5. She's always looking for the best route to accomplish a goal and how to help others get there too. She describes it like playing a game. Now, this was great timing. You know, we were leading up to giving this speech. And so soon after Lisa took on her new role as deputy, both she and Terry and I were able to talk about our strengths as part of a meeting to prepare for this talk. And it didn't take too much time to do this, but it was a lot of fun. We learned a lot about each other and how to play off each other's strengths, and it helped explain some of the things as we worked together. This strength-based approach also applies to the next part of our future direction that I'd like to talk about today. I'm so proud of our mission statement. It reflects the important work that we do here. In the spirit of focusing on the good, we're going to simplify the wording of our mission statement and make a few changes to our roadmap. Before we dig into the things that are new in the car, that are staying the same, our vision of keeping Utah moving hasn't changed. Our strategic goals haven't changed. They still are 0 crashes, 0 injuries, 0 fatalities, preserve infrastructure, and optimize mobility. But now let's talk about what's new. The 4 dimensions of quality of life are pretty prominent here, and that reflects the update to our refined mission statement. Enhance quality of life through transportation. We've been talking about quality of life for years. And if it wasn't obvious before, I hope that by now every one of us knows that quality of life is at the heart of everything that we do. The version of our mission statement makes that fact 100% clear. When we help create the communities of our dreams, we start by understanding what excellent looks like to the people affected by our projects. Last year, we introduced the quality. The quality of life framework includes 4 dimensions: connected communities, better mobility, stronger economy, and good health. Why it's no longer in the mission statement. It's included in quality of life. Let me be clear. Even though all 4 of these dimensions need to be strong for excellent quality of life, when we understand what great quality of life looks like for them in each of these 4 areas, we will be able to find ways that support them through transportation. To work every day to create a better life for the citizens of this state. It's amazing how powerful it is when you get to do something that makes people's lives better. One of the unique things about the work we do is it touches so many lives in so many ways. When you can help one person, that's great. When you can help a group of people, that's even better. But when you can help everyone in the entire state, that's incredibly powerful. It's why we bleed orange. So the mission is all about why. Why do we do the work we do? Our values guide how we do that. You've heard me say again and again, how we do things matters. This is certainly not the first time you've heard me talk about values. And guess what? It won't be the last. In 2015, my annual conference talk was mostly about values, for me personally and for our organization. In 2016, I talked about the relationship between values and character. And in 2017, hundreds of our employees participated in conversations leading us to identify our shared values of trust, teamwork, and flexibility. Because values matter to us, we have continually looked deeper and deeper at who we are and how we want to behave. This ongoing process has led us to the next update on our roadmap. Over the past year, we have faced the pandemic, civil unrest, and natural disasters. And it's become more important than ever to know our values and to stick with them. As a leadership team, we've been talking about changing the roadmap card to include some of the themes that I talked about with you last month. Inclusion, diversity, even love. As we talked about the many wonderful and meaningful words we could put on the card, we came to a realization. We didn't need to add more words. We needed to focus on the values that are at the very deepest at our core. Everything comes down to these 3 values: respect, integrity, and caring. Let's start by talking about respect. I spoke about it a little bit last month, and it's important enough that it's worth revisiting. Think about your fundamental needs as a human. You could be the most important person in the world or the most lowly. But every single one of us needs to be respected for who we are and treated with dignity. All men and women are created equal. The way we treat each other should reflect that fact. There's no one person more important than another. No job more important than anyone else's. You might think that sounds like a cliche, but it's true. As many of you know all too well, we have to justify each and every position at the department. It takes action by the legislature to get additional FTEs. So believe me when I say that you aren't here by accident or default. You're here because what you do is meaningful. You're here because you matter. Now, when it comes right down to it, we have more in common than not. And one of the best things you can do is to take the time to find out those common things. Take the time to talk to your teammates and to learn about them. It's funny how easy it can be to bond over even the most tiny things, such as having mothers with the same first name or watching the same TV show. One reason to learn about and to show respect for each other is that you will invariably find differences too. They may be small, or they may feel huge. These are the times when your values will be put to the test. And this is one test you won't have to study for, because respect will always be the answer. You need to make a choice on how you respond. You might have the instinct to pull back, to spend less time with that person, or stop talking to them altogether. Don't follow that instinct. Instead, approach the situation with openness, without making any assumptions about their character or their intentions. Now, last month, I participated in a training about treating others with dignity. I wanted to share some of the things that I learned. We've already talked about some of the things that are pretty common sense. Things such as accepting others, even when they're different, taking the time to understand, giving others the benefit of the doubt, treating others fairly, recognizing the good in others, and pointing out strengths. There were a couple other things that I wouldn't have expected to see on this list, but they make perfect sense, especially for us here at UDOT. One of those items is safety. We show each other respect when we ensure our teammates are safe. Our CARES program is all about watching out for each other, and safety is essential to everything we do. That's a given. At least it better be. But this is also about creating emotional safety. And that might sound a little hippie-ish or kumbaya or soft stuff, so I understand if you're rolling your eyes right now, but stay with me here, because it relates to the next thing on the list: inclusion. Did you know that there's research showing that if you are socially excluded, your body and mind feel pain exactly like when you're physically hurt? Now, does that surprise you? I'm guessing it doesn't. Because most of us, in fact, all of us, have felt it before. Has anyone ever given you the silent treatment or walked right past you without saying hello? Have you ever been left behind when the cool people go to lunch or tell inside jokes? Yeah, I don't have to get into the science or the studies for this. You know it's true. So pay attention to the people around you. Help your teammates feel like they belong. It doesn't need to be some grand gesture. Just open the circle a little wider. Let people into your conversations. Look your teammates in the eyes when you see them. These aren't hard things. They're simple. They're the things our parents taught us. So just ask yourself, would my mother be proud if she saw the way I treated this person? And that question takes us to our next value: integrity. This value isn't new to us. It's been on our roadmap card since it was originally created in 2013. And many of the other values and emphasis areas are related to it as well: trust, transparency, fiscal responsibility, and quality. Integrity is truly at the core of each of these things. It's doing the right thing for the right reasons. Doing the right thing when people aren't watching. And you may have heard me say this before. If we win by doing things the wrong way, it's a shallow, short-lived victory. We often use the phrases passing the red face test or the newspaper test as shorthand to remind us that in government, nothing we do is secret or hidden. When making a decision about how to spend taxpayer dollars or how to treat people, here's what it comes down to. If your actions were on the front page of the newspaper, would your face turn red? Or would you be able to hold your head high? You should feel confident that if your family, your children, your neighbors learned how you acted, they would be proud too. We act with fiscal responsibility in how we spend the taxpayers' dollars, as if it's even coming down to spending our own money out of our own bank accounts. We act with transparency, trustworthiness, and accountability. These are all forms of honesty, which is central to acting with integrity. Honesty also requires that even when it might be hard to hear, we tell the truth. Now, I stand by what I've said in the past about doing everything we can to get to yes, and to find a way to do things outside the status quo. That's what will push us to be innovative and to help our partners achieve excellent quality of life. But I also want to be clear. We can't always say yes. In fact, we shouldn't. Sometimes it's just not possible. And sometimes what we're being asked to do isn't the right thing. And it can be hard though, right? in those situations, because most people don't like hearing the word no. We don't want to be the bad guy. So it can be tempting to put off delivering the bad news. Or maybe we commit to things we can't realistically deliver. Part of integrity means having the courage to stand by a decision when it's right, even when it's not popular. We consistently see in our communication with the public that they can deal with just about anything if we're honest. And they know what to expect. They might grumble about a lane closure or delays, but it gets really ugly when we say one thing and we do another. You've all heard me say, the only ones who don't make mistakes are the people who do nothing. Mistakes are bound to happen. Having integrity means we acknowledge and own up to them. Doing so puts us in a position to be honest and to learn from our actions. Everyone deserves to hear the truth. It shows that we have both the integrity and, yes, the respect. See how these core values really are part of everything we do? Each of the three core values are related to each other. Now, the third and final value we're going to talk about today is caring. This value connects to words that are familiar from our previous roadmap: safety, passion, dedication, education, public responsiveness, and collaboration. And as you can see from that list, caring doesn't mean just one thing. We bring it to our relationships, to our individual work, to our teams, to our projects, really to everything. Let's start with how this applies to people and relationships. If you listen to my talk in December, you know that I mentioned the word love 13,422 times. Well, I'm just kidding. I did say it a lot. But I did say, because I did that because it's such a powerful thing. What happens when you care about somebody else? You want to learn about them. You see the good in them and you help them develop their strengths. You value their opinions and you listen to them with respect. When you care, you start to treat others as true teammates, even friends, and you have each other's back. Is this all sounding familiar? I told you these values are at the heart of who we are. It's pretty special when you can say that you work with friends. Now, some people may think working with friends is a myth, and unfortunately, that may be the case at other places. But that's not the case at UDOT. We may not use the word love. Actually, I have a hard time imagining anyone at one of our maintenance stations saying, "I love you" to a teammate. But there's no question we care about each other. You can see it in how we support each other. We watch out for each other's safety. It's no accident that our safety program is called CARES. We also show we care through flexibility here at UDOT. We know you care about your families and the priorities you have beyond work. And so we try to be flexible with schedules. We care about your engagement. So we try to be flexible in letting our employees learn about and try new things. We care about what matters to each other. In addition to caring about the people we work with, we care about the people we work for, our neighbors and our families, the residents of Utah. That's why quality of life is the backbone of our mission. It's why we want to help our partners build the community of their dreams. We care. In fact, we care a lot. When we say we bleed orange, that's what we're talking about. Now, I know you've heard from me twice in less than 30 days. Don't worry, we're not planning to make this a monthly thing. But as I said earlier at the start of this new year and new administration, it feels like the right time to lay out the direction that we're heading. You've heard me say that we're at an inflection point, and that's incredibly obvious right now, right? It feels like everything is changing, of course. COVID, politics, and other craziness have all been a cause for a lot of that. But things are also changing here in Utah with the inauguration of a new governor. I've always been confident that we're going in the right direction and we're doing amazing things. But if we take our eyes off the future and get too comfortable, then we're already falling behind. We need to keep looking ahead and moving in the right direction. So what are the takeaways about where we're going? First, it's all about people. People we respect, people with integrity, people we care for. Next, I take away the need for a laser focus on our mission, quality of life. It's what we've been talking about for years. And now we have a clear set of 4 dimensions: communities, mobility, health, and economy. I also hope you'll take away our 3 values: integrity, respect, and caring. After much discussion, passionate discussion, I should say, I believe we have landed on what drives us, what's at our core. We are a values-driven organization. We know what we stand for. No matter how difficult the challenge, or the question, or the project that we face, we know that our values will serve as our bedrock, as a safety net. They enable us to do great things. Now, I'm using my strength of futuristic to look ahead at our vision and the vision of Governor Cox. He and Lieutenant Governor Henderson are moving fast, and they are delivering on the promise of being big and bold. You may have heard Governor Cox say what I believe to be the theme of his term: one Utah, let's go. Acting together as a unified department and a unified state, we can do anything. And I'm so happy and proud to be able to continue working with all of you as we do what really matters. We truly can change lives. Let's go, UDOT, and let's go, Utah.